gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gaetz, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Assistant Attorney General, I think you're doing a good job, and that is a painful admission for me to have to make about anyone who works at the Department of Justice, an entity that I believe has been victimized by political capture. But I am perhaps just as concerned about the monopoly power of Google. Please talk to us about the enforcement actions that you have led against Google.
Thank you for your question. We have, it's a matter of public record, 2 open enforcement matters against that defendant. I can't speak specifically to those matters because they're pending in court, including one right down the street as we speak.
Well, we heard the chairman of the committee critique your work and say that the real problem is you keep losing, that you guys are losers. You're not getting victories. But you're just not speaking about the merits, but the procedural posture regarding one of your cases against Google. You're in trial right now against Google, right?
Correct. Yes, we have 2 cases, one of which succeeded on the summary judgment, the other that survived a motion to dismiss.
While I'm a few years away from my time as a practicing lawyer, usually when you're at trial, that means you prevailed on summary judgment, right?
Correct.
And usually it also means you prevailed on motions to dismiss, right?
Correct.
And sometimes you got to prevail on multiple motions to dismiss, don't you?
From time to time.
And in the other matter, where you're not at trial against Google, but you're making really important allegations about how Google has vertically integrated advertising, brokerage, and advertising monetization. In that matter, you have prevailed on the motion to dismiss, right?
As a matter of public record, that matter prevailed on the motion to dismiss.
So are you tired of winning?
Well, I can give you a whole other list of our victories, including in court against mergers. We've had.
Well, I want to stay on big tech because
okay.
It's really concerning to my constituents. Why should our fellow Americans be concerned about any entity that has the ability to vertically integrate search and ad brokering?
So I think it's important to go back to the the formation of the antitrust laws. In preparation for this hearing, I went back and looked at the namesake of the Sherman Act, John Sherman, and he said at the time that the law was passed, if we will not endure a king as political power, we should not endure a king over the production, transportation, and sale of any of the necessities of life. Ultimately, monopolies threaten our liberty. And if companies engage in anti-competitive conduct, exclusionary conduct, or break the law, in order to sustain their monopoly power, it threatens our liberty and threatens our democracy and goes to the heart of our freedom. So we have an obligation to enforce the law.
I would double tap the importance of that in the information space. I'm proud of the work that you've done for food processors and to stop consolidation in our food supply. I'm very worried about that. And I think that the work you're doing on the supply chain as well is really critical to drive down inflation, help our fellow Americans. But in the information space, if you get these powerful monopolies that get to define the nature of truth itself, it really is a threat to the republic, isn't it?
This is the marketplace of ideas. The free flow of information is critical to a free and open society. It's right there in the Constitution in the First Amendment. And when companies control the information highways, they control access to information, it threatens the marketplace of ideas.
I want to encourage you to continue to pursue those cases because a dynamic that I've observed at DOJ, and it's not a criticism of you but of others, is that what they want to do is go create these enforcement actions that are just enough virus for those people to then go and sell the antidote when they leave DOJ and go work for some big high-priced law firm. So they go create a little virus, then they go sell the antidote. I don't think that's what you're doing. And sometimes that means you have to take some intermittent losses along the way, but when correct?
I have a job to do, and we are going to enforce a law without fear or favor. And sometimes when you go up against the biggest companies in the world, it results in attempts to intimidate you not to do your job, but we're not going to be subjected to that intimidation.
Well, I think you're doing your job, and frankly, I think we would do our job if we continued to advance the legislation that Congresswoman Jayapal and Congressman Buck and I worked on to reshape some of these companies by force of legislative power. There's a competing doctrine here. There are some who just say strip some of these monopolies of their defenses and send you all and other lawyers off to feed on them, but in a way that's an abdication of our Article I authority to be able to reshape these entities that are impairing the marketplace of ideas. So I really hope we would get back to that Jayapal legislation and to run that in tandem with the good work you're doing.
The rule of law starts with the laws written by Congress.
Thank you.